molele hoi no laile ka haku malalo ko e heu ko maluhia a maulo aku no
Well, I was born at St. Francis Hospital, and I was a preemie baby. And I'll never forget this story because my dad said that when he went to the hospital, the nurse, opened her hand and said, "Here's your child." And he said it was like a little rat. My father's name is Tommy Tomimbang, and he came over here I believe in the late 30s as a laborer and worked in the plantation fields. And my mom and my father divorced when I was 3, so I was raised by my dad at a time when it was sort of unheard of that men would take care of, young girls, but that was our circumstance. And so my mother had her own life, and then my father proceeded to raise me, and we lived everywhere from, early years down in Kaka'ako with 8 fishermen in a little rooming house in an area which is now adjacent to the John A. Burns Medical School. I was here from 1957 till about 1960-61. So a great part of my adolescent years, I went to Waipahu kind of school and proceeded to go to Central Intermediate.
In the early 60s, father and daughter moved to a second-story apartment on the corner of River and Hotel Streets near the Mabuhay Cafe.
I remember you were tagging along with your father every time.
Oh, really?
You got a piece of paper and a pencil. It's like you are serving as a secretary.
It was a kind of rooming house where it was shared kitchens and open kitchens and shared showers and bathrooms. It was interesting. My friends were, doing all kinds of things around here, reading palms, and some of them were ladies of the night, and some were, gambling. It was like just part of our lifestyle, or the lifestyle of this neighborhood. Of course, I already knew what was going on, but we moved away, when I was about 14, to Kalihi. So this is my neighborhood in Kalihi, and I lived in that house from 1964 to 1968.
Eventually, Tommy remarried, and the family moved to Waipahu and later Waianae. It was during these formative years that Tommy laid the foundation for Emme's life in broadcasting.
Tommy Tomimbang, his name was really like a byword in the Filipino community, especially among the older generations, because he started his career doing early morning broadcasts to entertain, the listeners. In fact, plantation workers, still at the time.
And my early recollections of Mida was being on his TV show singing when I was 3 years old. And I didn't know what I was singing about, but I knew the words and I pronounced them quite well. And there was my media, my media experience at Channel 2, which was then Kona Television.
It's in her genes, the love for broadcasting, the love for emceeing, interviewing people, being around people and, listening to what they have to say.
In 1960, at the ripe old age of 10, Emme began hosting a special segment in her father's radio show on Koho.
I had my own show called Teenage Corner, and I would play rock music and just talk about what was going on at the different intermediate and high schools around Honolulu. So it was kind of a little ahead of, the times, but I thought, hey, this is great fun, and at 10 years old, I didn't think there was so unusual, actually.
That stint on the radio eventually led Emme to promoting concerts for choral radio with the Choralettes, whose claim to fame was bringing the Dave Clark Five to Honolulu.
It was the first time I'd ever met any celebrity-type group from far away as England, and it was really an honor. And Dave Clark, always said to me, "You're going to be somebody," and he gave me his drumsticks. So the first thing I did was started an all-girl rock band, and of course, I was the drummer.
Aloha, I'm Emmeline Tomimbang. Welcome to another edition of Island Moments. On the road, on the Strip in Las Vegas, on the road in Seattle,
In the Philippines. I'm here at the Bishop Museum. We're here at the Hawaii Plantation Village in Waipahu. On this edition of Island Moments, we're going to look at some of Hawaii's very special homegrown stars.
Kuakula oi kamalanai a keiki pu'upu'u Nolu kamaka o ka ohavai o uli Nini au e hakapua o Kauai e hai ke
Jason was a great co-host, but my favorite moments on that first show were the laughs we shared behind the scenes. Like when I was trying to tape the opening of the show and a horse decided to steal the moment.
Hi, I'm Emme Tomimbang. Welcome to Island Moments. You know, in the past 20 years of my life in television, I've met some incredible people, traveled to exotic and exciting places. But no matter how far I've gone,
Or when Barry Flanagan of Hapa also subbed as a grip, holding our light reflector.
hold it up.
Beggar.
As my co-host, Carrie and I tried to be composed in the middle of gale force winds.
We also meet a group of unique musicians with a very far-out musical philosophy.
That's fine. Quick, there's no wind. It's always inspiring being around Elizabeth Lindsay. And yet, we've had our moments, too. Does this look funny when I go like this? You know, my heart goes pitak pitak. Dum, 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 dum. Okay.
That Robert Wagner is still as handsome as ever, and I'm glad that he has a say in where Heart to Heart is filmed.
I'm really impressed. Mark Dacuscos, Filipino name, and you have retained it.
Yes.
Why?
Why would I want to change my name? You know, I talked to my father, and he says, "No way, we're proud of our name. We're from Hawaii." And you know, and I thought, yeah, I'm from Hawaii. I'm going to keep my name. Damn it.
This is the way Tia welcomes Emme to Los Angeles. She wears the flat shoes, and I'm on clouds. Nice going, Tia. Nice going.
You're welcome.
You know, it's not fair that she's tall and Filipino. So in my next life, God, do I have a break, okay?
Strangely enough, I wasn't frightened. And I can only say that because of my faith in God.
And then we shared a lighter moment. Jim hadn't played the piano in years, so I coaxed him into a few bars.
You're laughing at me. You are too.
Anyone with information leading to the identity or whereabouts of this woman.
And of course, with guest appearances from island celebrities, how could the show not have been a hit? Was that really me? And I didn't even have a kissing scene with old Tom. I wasn't quite dressed for a day of boating, so I decided to leave. But Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had other plans.
Okay, see ya. Going.
Here we go, yeah.
Oh, what a moment. Thank you. I'll give you a hug.
Go! She has such a tiny face, but it takes forever. Emmy! You had the whole day to do this, Emmy. Emmy, the government might change already. Let's go.
Hey, what are you doing? You look nice.
Think so?
Is this vanilla?
No, this is vanilla.
Oh.
Whoa, 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 let's hear it for the boy.
That's great.
Here, this one, right here, right here.
No, you need your finger. No, this down. Okay. Bang. Okay, go like this. Aloha, Hawaii, from New York City. And then I, casually asked our waiter I needed equal times because, Kima was enjoying what was on stage. So we said, well, how...
So she told the waiter,
wait.
drop your pants. Wow. She said something like that.
I just want to thank you for these great seats. We're VIPs, but if there's anything about Emmy, she takes care.
Oh,
yeah? Yeah. All right. You ready?
Okay.
On the count of three. Go both. Yes. Even if you have a job here, you're doing well, you live here, you have a home maybe, someplace to stay, but you can still get lonely for the islands. And the music, well, the music of Hawaii always gives you that special feeling. We've run out of time. Long. Am I long? You know, even though you settle here, you live here, work, maybe even... Even if you get a job here and you live here in Las Vegas, you can still miss the islands. And island music always plays a great part in bringing back memories.
In fact, that island music we love so much probably was heard on KCCN.
And we should see.
So even if you come to Las Vegas and live here, you can still be homesick and miss the great island music.
In fact, the music that's loved here in Las Vegas is probably heard on KCCN.
Our first island moment brings us one of Maui's hottest exports, a new group called Hapa. And with typical local style on the streets of Lahaina, we meet up with Barry Flanagan and Keli'i Kaniali'i.
Hey, how are you guys following us?
How about a quick drive up to Makawa for some take-home gift, or what islanders call omiyage, with a box of yummy Komodo Bakery cream puffs. So what is this moment?
This is a kind of a cream puff island moment. Right? Cheers.
You're getting good, Kelly. Regular host. You're hired. Okay. Happier? Well, this is kind of solemn. Okay, we're coming out of a song from him. Kelly, I just love your music. Please continue to inspire and gift us with your island music.
Mahalo. And speaking of inspirational, you've been...
It's okay. There were hilarious moments with talented twosome Amy and Willie K.
Hi, I'm Emmeline Tomimbang.
I'm Wonka Willie K. Wait, let's do that again.
He's Wonka Willie Way.
I'm Willy Wonka.
I'm Cecilio. And I'm Capone.
Join me and my special guest. Sorry. Okay, take two.
Aloha, I'm Cecilio. Aloha, I'm Capone.
Join me in...
Yeah, that's it. You can do this.
Okay.
Extemporaneous.
Childlike again.
Number one sweet, naughty eyes make oh ho. You know got chats, not a fella, she's sweetheart. But today, really got, she too much room for him, and I said, Johnny Jerome. Stay up late.
Bindley. Beautiful. Right there, Berlina,
This has been a production of Emme. You can try your hand at skeet shooting.
Oh, hey. Good shot, Emmy.
Or how about taking
bullseye.
aim at air riflery?
Good shots. Looking
Or
good.
even
Now let it go.
experience the challenge of archery.
And we'll never forget our nostalgic moment with all of Hawaii's music legends. You know, Alan, that sashimi, excuse me, but I just blew the line. 3, 2, 1. You know, Alan, that bachelor Simon was awesome, but this nori tempura ain't bad either.
You know, fancy foods are great, but simple local stuffs are still my favorite.
You know, Alan, that bachelor Simon was awesome. Ready? You know, Alan, that bachelor Simon was just awesome, but this nori.
Okay, you guys are hungry. You know the rules here. What's the rules? If you're not hungry, get out. Get in.
Oh, man, what is that?
What is this?
What is
That's
this?
the one you serve. Whoa, what are you serving small portions for? You know better. You've been here long enough.
It's coming later.
Okay.
Okay, I'm awful sorry. They gave you the children's portion.
Only one more bite. It's very tasty.
You want that again for the camera?
Ready, set, cook with all the top chefs. And there was you-know-who trying to fit in.
Can't do it.
something and says, Emmy.
Aloha, Hawaii.
It was karaoke time.
Up and down and around, you've been doing the taro patch twist. Yeah, up and down and around, yeah, you twist, twist, twist. Going to the chapel and we're gonna get married. Gee, I really love you and we're gonna get married. Going to the chapel of love.
Funny how the times can change as fast as we can run. Sad to say we had to part when the fun has just begun. Now the night is over and I'm waiting for the day when we can be together. And we can say good night and good morning. Good night to the dawning.
Good night and good morning.
But my eyes never wander,
Because the local boys can be beat. Oh, local boys. Local boys.
My favorite Anderson composition is a popular Hawaiian Christmas carol, Mele Kalikimaka.
Mele Kalikimaka is Hawaii's way. I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus underneath the mistletoe last night. Mistletoe. She didn't see me creep downstairs to have a peek. She thought that I was tucked up in my bedroom fast asleep. He knows when you are sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. So be good for goodness sake. Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Number 4, day of Christmas, my tutu give to me.
4 flower lace.
3 dry squid, 2 coconut, and a minor birdie, 1 papaya tree. Number 5, day of Christmas, my tutu give to me. 5 big fat eggs.
4 flower lace.
3 dry squid, 2 coconut, and a minor birdie, 1 papaya tree.
You're looking at what many consider to be the most famous penthouse in television history. Aloha, I'm Emmeline Tomimbang.
And I'm James MacArthur.
With so many roads that seem to lead down to the sea, I wonder which road will be the right one for me. Others may fall away, dead ending left and right, but there is this one road that journeys far out of sight. Have you you wondered where your road will lead you? Maybe to a bright day of sunshine, or a starry night in heaven. Or it might be you're afraid to go, but you got to follow your road, or you'll never know, never know. We are all but travelers living in a foreign land, just trying to find our way best as we can, looking for an answer, trying to find some love. Though we have journeyed far, it's not quite far enough. Have you wondered where your road will lead you? Maybe to a song that needs singing, or a summer rain. Or it might be you're afraid to go, but you got to follow catch you if you fall. If others leave you, you know I'll stay, and my dreams will whisper to you and guide your way. So sleep, my darling, one kiss goodnight, another song awaits you with rising light. You'll fly with angels above us all, and I'll be here to catch you if you fall. Fly with angels above us all, and I'll be here to catch you if you fall. I'll be here to catch you if you fall.
Ladies and gentlemen, your friend and mine, Jimmy and Emmeline Tomimbang Burns. Aloha! Thank you so much. Mahalo for choosing to be with us this evening. My name is Amelia Casimina Kabatu, and I'm a very dear friend of Emmy. And it's quite difficult to come up in front of you after seeing a video like that, right? So let's pray that her presence will come over me now and tell all of you that the prime entertainment here tonight is with all of you. Remembering our dear friend Emmeline Tomimbang Burns and offer our thoughts. Thanks to our special pianist, who unfortunately is not here, but Jenny Tew, are you here, dear? Yes, she is? Okay. She have a very special number for our dear friend. Ladies and gentlemen, Jenny Tew.
Thank you very much, and aloha, everybody. I'm sure you're like me, mixed feelings as we watch the videos, beautiful video and beautiful memories of our wonderful, wonderful dear Emmy. So I'm going to do this song right now. You know, Emmy was a trailblazer. We know that. And she, you know, I always would tell her after I watched her Island Moments, I would tell her, you know, when you interview people, you can tell that you put your heart into it. You're not looking for sensationalism. You just really care about the person. Oh, thank you. Thank you. and you really want to tell their story, and that's why they feel so comfortable that they open up and tell you. And I tell her that your interviews are always so interesting, so informative, and so inspiring, really. And that's what she, she had a gift about that. And, she didn't always have it easy, we know that. And she struggled like all of us. She had difficult and challenging times, but her glass was always half full, and that was her choice, and really inspired all of us. And she also loved the animals so much, which means so much to me. She loved her dogs, as we know, Rufus, Montana, Dakota, and I'm sure others before that. And so she dared to dream the impossible dream, and she also helped others to find their impossible dreams and to make it come true. So this is for Emme and for all of us as we are here to remember her and to honor her, and we continue to love her.
Ginny Tiu. Beautifully done. Wow. Aloha, everybody. Aloha. Mabuhay. There's got to be a reason we got Kleenex up here. This is an unbelievable evening. Aloha. I'm Brickwood Galutaria, and I'm a lifelong friend of Emme. We grew up together in Kaka'ako. The Tomimbang house was on Ohe Street, and the Galutaria house was on Ilalo. And this is where the Kaka'ako Gateway Park is now. And Emme used to come over to eat. And she used to show up at like 7 o'clock in the morning. And my grandmother would say, Emmeline, it's early, it's only 7 o'clock, come back. She said, I go sit right over here and wait. And sure enough, we grew up together. We call ourselves the Kaka'ako kids, so it's so special for me to be a part of this wonderful evening here. And there's going to be many magical moments, like we just experienced with Ginny and Kimo and Amelia is over here. And I mean, this is top shelf stuff. So let's start at the top. I have two messages. One is from President Barack Obama, and it's done via his sister, professor, educator, peace activist, and friend of Emme, Dr. Maya Sotoro Ng. And again, this is Emme's hand, because it's not every day you're going to get a Kamehameha guy doing a Punahou speech. Go figure that one out. So this is from President Barack Obama. To the family and friends of Emme, Michelle and I wanted to express our heartfelt condolences over the loss of our friend, Emmeline Tomimbang Burns. Emme broke barriers, showing the way for so many female journalists in Hawaii, and a remarkable leader for the Filipino American community. Her professional excellence was matched by her warmth and kindness, and she touched our lives as she did so many others. She will be greatly missed, but her legacy lives on, and we are grateful to have known her. Barack and Michelle Obama. And I got the speech, he handwritten, wrote this, and I get to go home and put it on the wall. Another Punahou guy on the wall. This is from Maya Sotoro Ng. I'm so proud of our friend Emme, a pioneering journalist who made brave contributions to the field of journalism. I'm so proud of her for co-founding the Asian American Journalists Association and advocating for diversity and inclusion in newsrooms. I'm proud of her work to amplify underrepresented voices and create opportunities for Filipino journalists and, more recently, medical students and physicians to excel. I'm proud of her work to ensure that Asian American and Pacific Islander stories are told accurately and respectfully. She poured her heart and soul into everything she did. What a hard-working trailblazer she was. I'm so grateful for our friend Emme, a capable MC who helped campaign for my brother and memorialize our grandmother in 2008, who loved her dog so deeply and showed us the best of interspecies love. I am grateful for her friendship to me and our family, for the generosity she showed us often. I love going with her to listen to Willie K's music. She would gift my brother with sashimi and golf games, and give me and Michelle locally made pikake lotions. Many times, I watched her lend a listening ear, offer sage advice, or simply share a comforting embrace with young and old mentees alike. I saw Emme making everyone she encouraged feel seen, heard, and deeply valued. Though we ache with the absence of her physical presence, we take solace in knowing that Emme's spirit lives on in the countless lives she touched and the countless hearts she filled with her storytelling and deep friendship. Aloha, your sister Maya Sotoro Ng. Thank you very much. We have some wonderful guests who are sharing their time with us. I won't waste any time in saying that from the Hawaii State Supreme Court, we have a man whose wife has their newly adopted German Shepherd, Montana, with her. Thank you, Galen. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Justice Mark Reckenwald.
Thank you, Kimo. Mabuhay and aloha, everyone. On behalf of the Hawaii Judiciary, I'm honored to be here with my wife, Galen, to express our fond aloha for our dear friend, Emme. Emme was a force of nature. Her warmth lit every room she entered and energized everyone who came in contact with her. Her light shone especially bright on the judiciary. Emme's beloved husband, Chief Judge Jim Burns, led our Intermediate Court of Appeals for more than 25 years, and Emme was with them throughout that journey, with strong support from their Rottweiler, Rufus. Together, they created a culture where people worked hard, laughed together in good times, and lifted each other up in bad times. It reflected the values of Jim's dad, Governor John A. Burns, whom Emme revered. You need to malama each other. That was always the key. When Jim retired in 2007, I was appointed to fill his position. I'd never been a judge before and really needed somebody to show me the ropes. We didn't know Jim or Emme, but they embraced Galen and me and mentored us. We'd get together at our favorite restaurants in Kailua and talk story for hours. Emme's stories were the best, from tales of cruising around with Hawaii's finest chefs, including some sort of off-script stories about stopping for bathroom breaks and somewhere up in wine country, I don't know, to riding with Stevie Wonder, to attending a fundraiser at Oprah's house in California. It was a supercharged version of Emme's Island Moments. Jim would just sigh and raise an eyebrow and say, "Yes, dear." What a beautiful love they shared, and it never wavered, even in the face of the profound health challenges they both encountered. After Jim passed away, Emme was heartbroken, and although she carried on, the ache and the loss were always there. But she had one constant companion who always brought her joy in the years after Jim passed away, their beautiful German Shepherd, Montana. Emme and Montana were inseparable. After Emme suddenly passed away, Montana waited patiently in their house for Emme to return. A few days later, Galen and I were blessed to welcome Montana into our home. She's here tonight. She's asleep under the table over there. And she's watching over her beloved mommy, Emme. So Emme, from me, Galen, and Montana, we send our fondest aloha to you and your family. And please give Jim a big hug for us. Aloha.
Thank you, Chief Justice Mark Reckenwald. If you get tired of Montana, I'm next. You know, I have to say I'm very, very honored and pleasured to be up here in front of you, especially with my co-host and MC, one from Punahou, one from Kamehameha. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm the local girl from Kalihi, just like Emme, a graduate of Farington High School. Emme had a family that she so loved. And representing Emme's family are niece Andrea Savino and sister Jocelyn Nelson for their remarks.
Good evening, everyone. Hi. If any of you follow me on social media, you will know that in the days after Auntie Emme passed, I realized that it had never occurred to me to consider what a groundbreaking woman she was. To me, growing up, she was just another one of my aunties, albeit the one that we would occasionally watch on TV instead of hang out with in real life. It took her passing for me to really learn she was a true trailblazer. In writing this speech, I mulled and I worried about how I could properly convey how amazed I was by her life and career. I wondered, how could I accurately portray how mind-blowing it was for me to learn that she was the first woman of color to anchor a television news broadcast before even Connie Chung? How could I give honor to all of that? But then I realized there are hundreds of people here today, maybe even thousands watching on television, and there are many, many esteemed speakers who will speak on and on about what an amazing, trailblazing woman Auntie Emme was. My purpose here today is to let you know about the Emmeline I knew and the one that my family knew. Emme, yes, the one we would occasionally watch on TV, but really just Auntie Emme. The one who would, behind the scenes of her career, quietly showed up for the ones that she loved with love and care. The one who adored her rescue dogs, Rufus and Montana. The one who never forgot about Grandpa Tommy and her humble beginnings, no matter where her career took her. The one who would bend over backwards for the people she loved. The one who generously understood the phrase that we lift each other up as we climb. The one who would whisper in my ear when I would randomly run into her on the island, I would recognize that Tomimbang laugh anywhere. The one who loved Uncle Jim with all her heart. So as you go through today and we all celebrate Emmeline Tomimbang Burns, our family would like you to remember Emme, auntie, wife, daughter, pet mom, sister, community builder, and friend. A woman whose generosity of spirit meant that she loved all of us wholeheartedly, and that's why we're all here today, because we all really love her in turn. Thank you.
I'm not special, I just have a hard time walking. I and my family, we all are vertically challenged, so I'm sorry that all you have to see is the microphone. And I even used my high sandals. I just want to say daghan salamat, mahalo nui lo for everybody who's here today in celebrating my sister Emme's celebration of life. You know, I know she's special because she's my sister. Carrie is special because she's my sister. But when I see this video, I am amazed at the lives that she's touched. And I'm so very proud of her. So thank you. Thank you, whoever did the production of that video. Well, I've got to really make this quick because they told me keep it short and sweet. I am Jocelyn Nelson. I am Emmy's youngest sister. And she's my big sister. I have Carrie here, who is the middle girl. And we are daughters. Carrie and I are daughters from my mom's second marriage. And of course, Emme is from her first marriage, my mom's first marriage, Manoy Tomimbang. They were a blended family before even the term blended was coined. The parent, Manoy Tomimbang, and my parents made sure that if Emme needed someone if Emme needed to be watched, or if we needed a babysitter, that they would coordinate their schedules and that we would be taken care of. And I was very proud of that because that was very unusual during those times in the early 60s. Okay, so back to limiting my speech. I'm going to smile and be like Emme and try to be real gracious and try to sneak in a couple of extra minutes. It always worked for Emme. Well, I want to say that the first thing with Emme, well, first of all, I want to say that I want to give you insight of what it was like to be with Emme. Emme shared her life, but a lot of times she shared it as a community leader, as a producer of a show. I knew Emme only as her sister, and even more so because I was removed. I lived in San Francisco. I really did see her as my sister, and very little as the person with Emme moments, although she was so precious because she would send me her CDs, or DVDs, excuse me, and tell me, here, watch. So you know what I'm doing. I thought that was so precious of her. But having Emme as a sister, you had to be prepared for the unexpected. Emme's life, and if you were fortunate enough to be swooped up in that vortex for a moment, was full of surprises. For example, she'd be on the phone, and then she'd casually hand the phone over to me. As she's walking out of the room, she goes, "Say hi." I'm like, "Say hi?" She goes, "Yeah. Say hi to Jim Messina." And I'm on the phone going, "I don't know you." And she'd leave. And so I would have to, carry on, as the girls in our family are really good about vala'au. She did that to me also with Milton Hardaway, Stevie Wonder's brother. And I think I also met Jim Burns the first time that way, by her giving me the phone and saying, "Here, go talk to him." Sorry, I've been told I have to hurry up, so let's see, what can I tell you? I'm gonna not, that's it? Oh, come on, let me, a little bit.
As you said, Emme would say, "Your
Aw.
pal."
Okay. Well, you guys, thank you for listening to me. I want to thank you again. She was a loving sister.
Trust me, everyone's supposed to be on only 3 minutes at the max. Okay? Right now, we're headed to 10:30. So let's back up a little. And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the First Lady of the State of Hawaii, formally, and with great heart and presence, Vicky Cayetano.
Thank you. It's an honor for me to join you all here as we mourn the loss of and celebrate the life of our beloved Emme. I'm honored to be here to represent our family, and I'm sorry that Ben couldn't be here, but he gave me a letter that he would like to share. Dear Emme, I'm sorry I'm not there. I have COVID. But in some ways, I'd rather remember you for the vibrant, full of life woman that you always were. Thank you for being a wonderful friend to Vicky and me over the years. Since we first met when I was a freshman senator, and you, an aspiring newscaster looking for interesting and controversial issues to cover, you were the interesting one, and I was a controversial one. We have not only been friends, but we also had the greatest respect for you, Emme, and what you accomplished, especially at a time when very few women were in the media industry. Like your dad, Tommy Tomimbang, a well-known television personality, you were a pioneer who blazed the trail for women and Filipinos alike. And while you were passionate about the causes that were important to you, you brought a sense of objectiveness and professionalism to all your interviews, and you made every guest, including us, feel welcome. Through your show, Island Moments, you captured the spirit of our islands and our people. Your genuine personality and kindness came across with every episode. When you met Jim, we knew you had met the love of your life. And together, you created a very special relationship. I called you the yin and yang couple, opposites in many ways, but so in sync where it mattered, kind of like Vicky and me. We always appreciated and connected with your love for animals, in particular your children, Rufus, Dakota, and Montana. Like proud parents, we would share stories of our four-legged kids. While we miss you greatly, we are grateful that you are a part of our lives and that we have so many happy memories to cherish and to talk about until we see each other again. We love you, Emmy. Ahui ho, love Bennett and Vicky. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky, and aloha to Governor Cayetano. Thank you so much. Oh, by the way, Amelia, Farington, as Kamehameha's Loa campus, huh? Oh, exit stage left. Hey, when the crew who put this event together considered the magnitude of how to pull all of Emmy's friends and fans and special audiences into one place, what to highlight, what videos to show, it was kind of an insane gesture to try and do that. We're pretty sure their eyeballs rolled up into their heads and haven't come back down since. But guess what? The hand of Emmeline was at work with the perfect solution. It was a special Emmy's Island Moments, first broadcast in 2005, marking Emmy's 30 years in television and covering everything we could possibly dream of creating. And it was already produced. Thank you, Robert and Daniel, for the idea, and thank you, Emmy, for providing the solution. We have felt her hands on our shoulders since she left, guiding us and reassuring us and comforting us, and especially tonight, she's right here with us saying, hey guys, relax. Okay, it's okay, take a breath, enjoy yourselves, and we will. So here's how that extraordinary spirit came to be. Watch this.
Well, I was born at St. Francis Hospital, and I was a preemie baby. And I'll never forget this story because my dad said that when he went to the hospital, the nurse, opened her hand and said, here's your child. And he said it was like a little rat. My father's name is Tommy Tomimbang, and he came over here I believe in the late 30s as a laborer and worked in the plantation fields. And my mom and my father divorced when I was 3, so I was raised by my dad at a time when it was sort of unheard of that men would take care of, young girls, but that was our circumstance. And so my mother had her own life, and then my father proceeded to raise me, and we lived everywhere from, early years down in Kaka'ako with 8 fishermen in a little rooming house in an area which is now adjacent to the John A. Burns Medical School. I was here from 1957 till about 1960-61. So a great part of my adolescent years, I went to home kind of school and proceeded to go to Central Intermediate.
In the early 60s, father and daughter moved to a second-story apartment on the corner of River and Hotel Streets near the Mabuhay Cafe.
I remember you were talking along with your father every time.
Oh, really?
You got a piece of paper and a pencil. It's like you are serving as a secretary.
It was a kind of rooming house where it was shared kitchens and open kitchens and shared showers and bathrooms. It was interesting. My friends were, doing all kinds of things around here, reading palms, and some of them were ladies of the night, and some were, gambling. It was like just part of our lifestyle, or the lifestyle of this neighborhood. Of course, I already knew what was going on, but we moved away, when I was about 14, to Kalihi. So this is my neighborhood in Kalihi, and I lived in that house from 1964 to 1968.
Eventually, Tommy remarried, and the family moved to Waipahu and later Waianae. It was during these formative years that Tommy laid the foundation for Emmy's life in broadcasting.
Tommy Tomimbang, his name was really like a byword in the Filipino community, especially among the older generations, because he started his career doing early morning broadcasts to entertain, the listeners. In fact, plantation workers, still at the time.
And my early recollections of Mita was being on his TV show singing when I was 3 years old. And I didn't know what I was singing about, but I knew the words and I pronounced them quite well. And there was my media experience at Channel 2, which was then Kona Television.
It's in her genes, the love for broadcasting, the love for emceeing, interviewing people, being around people and, listening to what they have to say.
In 1960, at the ripe old age of 10, Emme began hosting a special segment in her father's radio show on Koho.
I had my own show called Teenage Corner, and I would play rock music and just talk about what was going on at the different intermediate and high schools around Honolulu. So it was kind of a little ahead of, the times, but I thought, hey, this is great fun. And at 10 years old, I didn't think there was so unusual, actually.
That stint on the radio eventually led Emme to promoting concerts for choral radio with the Choralettes, whose claim to fame was bringing the Dave Clark Five to Honolulu.
It was the first time I'd ever met any celebrity-type group from far away as England. And, it was really an honor. And Dave Clark, always said to me, "You're going to be somebody." And he gave me his drumsticks. So the first thing I did was started an all-girl rock band. And, of course, I was the drummer.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the second time you saw that video. Some of you may not remember. We have to share. Well, all of our high school alma maters in Hawaii, they are very precious to us in terms of who we are in this paradise we live in. Please welcome delegation from Emmy's class of 1968 at Wallace Ryder Farington High School, the Governors, led by classmate Steve Chakikawa.
Thank you so much. Thank you. One real quick mistake that was made on stage. Amelia, you had it correct. We're Farington people, so anybody who thinks that we're the lower campus got it backwards. Farington, Kamehameha is the upper campus of Farington, right? You got that right. And your dad would agree too there, McKenna. Your dad would agree too. Oh yeah. All right. I got to put this in perspective. Emme and I were sitting about a year ago at a restaurant in Kailua. Montana was at my feet, kind of figuring out that's a nice warm spot. And I don't know how the conversation came about, but she says, whoever goes first, you got to go up and say something about me. Emme, this is my payback. I want to roll this back a little bit. This is picture us growing up in 1968. I am her classmate. There's a bunch of us here today. And just put this in your mind. It was truly an innocent time. And it was a simple time. Vietnam was on our mind. Absolutely, Vietnam was on our mind. Draft cards as well as lotteries. But get this. Everything on King Street was Hall Simon, Dallas Simon, Boulevard Simon was one street below. Lots of Simon stands was cheap. How cheap was it? Who remembers Jolly Roger and Dillingham? All right, I had to dig up the prices. Get this now. Everybody knows what a Porky Boy is? Porky Boy was terry pork with onions that were simmered. You had to pay 49 cents. Because a Terry King, which was a double teriyaki with onions, was only 39 cents. This wasn't special. This was the everyday price. Cheesy Gal, double burger with plenty of cheese, 49 cents. This is how we grew up. I remember going to Scotty's Drive-In. Why? because they had real malt, not shake like Jolly Roger had. They had real malt. But we had to go all the way down to Pearl City. I got to tell you, Emmy was with me on a few occasions, and we just used to drive all the way down talking stories just so that we can have French fries. They had the best French fries. And they also had malt, not shake. Then, what happened in 1968? Mid-1968. I'm being told to hurry it up. Okay. Emmy was the epitome of the total pep squad cheerleader. In today's words, Emmy would have been called the Energizer Bunny. Never really figured out if she ever knew football or if she got programmed certain cues from different people. Because at the right time, she'd always go out with, 1st and 10, let's do it again. I always thought, I wonder if she knew what she was doing. Or, push him back, way back, way back. Always on cue. Always resonated loud and clear throughout the football stadiums. That Emmeline was that epitome of the football person, that cheerleader girl that all of the football players wanted to date. Coming up. All right, I'm out. All right, we're getting the singers up on stage. As they're coming up on stage, let me give you a real quick one. Hey, chefs, my quick story is real simple. Emmeline and I graduated. She burnt spaghetti. That night we had, with she and her classmate, we ended up having a good old pizza. All right, on with the song. You gonna throw it up? Hello? I sent the words out. All right. That's it. Can we all rise for Emmy? If you can rise, please rise. To you, our own dear alma mater, we pledge our love and loyalty and sing a tribute all together that all may hear our song to thee. So let us raise our royal banner, and it will hold victorious sway. And little merry hearts and bones in praise of T-E-A-M, we love you, Emmy.
Thank you very much, Steve Takegawa, and of course, the Faringtonians, and I am a proud graduate. Now, Emmy was an inspiration to many of us, including the many nieces and nephews that she nurtured. And on behalf of the Tomimbang family, Kristen Tomimbang shares a heartfelt hula in honor of her Auntie Emmy, Miss Kristen Tomimbang.
I actually wanted to be a psychologist, and then it moved into education, and I was a teacher at Waipahu Intermediate for about a year.
But Emme couldn't stay off the air for long, and in the early 70s, she began hosting her own radio show on Kisa, the Filipino radio station, which Tommy helped to start. Then in 1975, KITV4 program director and talk show host Don Robbs began looking at possible candidates for assistant program director.
One that intrigued me was this young woman I remembered from a few years before, when she had appeared on probably the world's worst children's show, Billy Boy Moonster. The two girls were Pamela Young and Emmeline Tomimbang. And so when we had this job opening a few years later, I'm going through the applications, and there is Emmy's name.
Eventually, I found myself, getting a phone call from Don Robbs, and, he called and said, would you like to help me at Channel 4, KITV, and do TV? And I thought, I can do that. I just took the call and answered it and showed up at Channel 4 to do whatever they wanted me to do. And I got there, and I was relegated to this room in the back of KITV, the old KITV on Oneida Boulevard, and they said, you're going to do the logs. And I said, what's that? And it was, everything to do with putting the PSAs and the system cues, and it was all by hand. News came as a fluke. I was As program director, I was doing special promotions, and they had this thing called Funbird Flyaway for Aloha Airlines. They would have this huge barrel that I would, take a name out of the barrel every day at 4 o'clock between the Three Stooges and Mickey Mouse. And so a man walked through the studio. His name was Stu Chaffee, and he looked at me, and he was, kind of like this,
And I thought, who's this young woman? She's got a lot of charisma, a lot of presence. You just sort of want to pay attention to her. You want to listen to her. And so I was putting together a whole new news team at the time, and I said, I wonder if I could find something for Emme to do.
And then the next thing I knew, he says, I'd like you to do weather. I said, excuse me? And he says, I want you to do the weather on the news. I took the place of the actual weather doll called Imiloa. So it was the first, as one of the cameramen so aptly reminded me, it was the first time they ever had a real live weather person.
Even though this was before I came here, I do remember hearing afterwards about the all-local news team. It was a very big deal in the mid-'70s. How did that come about, and who was on it?
The all-ethnic newscast was Gene Okamoto, who was, Hapa, Mason Altieri. Then we had Roberta Wong, who was Chinese, Karen An, who was Korean, Paul Guanzon, who was Hawaiian Filipino, and Matt Levi, who was our investigative reporter, who was Hawaiian, and Emmeline Tomimbang, Filipino weather girl. So that was our all-ethnic newscast that debuted in September of 1975.
I think that the media at first found it a little bit difficult to accept us as legitimate news reporters and anchors, but I believe that after a while, everyone accepted and embraced us.
One newspaper writer called Emme the Achilles heel of the all-local news team.
And I didn't know until later what it meant, and I thought, I'm going to show this guy. I'm going to show this guy that I'm not going to be the Achilles heel, and if it is, it's an important part of the foot.
Emme eventually proved she was an important part of the foot, and audiences became enchanted with the Filipino weather girl. But Tomimbang wanted to expand her role on the newscast and drew inspiration from a pioneering female anchor reporter at KGMB.
Well, I remember clearly that my idol was Linda Coble on Channel 9, because she was doing the fun stories, and she had such a great social life, and everybody wanted that social life. But I was so determined that I didn't want to just end up doing weather. And so I remember going into the newsroom and telling Don Rockwell at the time, who was the news director, I said, I want to do a news story. And he said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, let me go cover the Loggins and Messina concert. And that was really the beginning of my life in understanding, again, learning the craft on the job with no training at all.
When I know I'm coming to you.
Thus began a 30-year tradition of celebrity interviews by Emme. What distinguished her from other reporters was the ability to get people to open up and reveal themselves on camera.
It's the personality and her approach. I mean, it's one of, I'm Emme, I'm your friend, let's talk about this.
Another Emme trademark began to pop up in her reports. Her knack for saying outrageously funny things on the air without intending to. And do you remember the time that you interviewed Jim Neighbors on Maui at his place in Hana, and said at the close of your piece that you thought he was going to relax and retire and enjoy life watching his nuts grow on Maui?
That has come to haunt me for my entire career, because every time I see Jim Neighbors, he always says, would you like to see my nuts? And he's, of course, talking about his macadamia nut farm. And I'm sitting there going, why is everybody laughing? What's so funny about that? Because I didn't get it until after the show was over. And I think they closed with a closing shot, and I'm still looking at everybody going, why are you all laughing? Because Jack Hawkins says, and that's the news. Good night. And he's like, turning magenta.
I love being able to get away from the city, away from all that hustle and bustle, and come out here to be close to nature. All the elements that make island life, island living in Hawaii real special.
Emmeline Tomimbang, News Center 4.
As one of Hawaii's top feature reporters, Emme soon became a household name. While covering the Aloha Week court in London, Emme got to do an ABC News KITV4 cross-promotion with the late Peter Jennings.
I'm Peter Jennings. For news coverage that we think is complete, we hope you'll watch World News Tonight at 5 o'clock.
Followed by News Center 4 at 5:30.
News of Hawaii and of the world every day on KITV, Channel 4.
We do this one more time real fast. Your hand's scratching your leg.
Was I? Actually, I was scratching Emma's leg.
I know. I was going to say. Please.
Despite her newfound celebrity status, Emme somehow felt her stories really weren't that important until she got some advice from a legendary female newscaster.
And I remember going to New York and visiting ABC News and meeting, Barbara Walters, and she said, you should be very glad to be doing the features because that's the one part of the newscast that's going to make everybody feel good and feel happy again after seeing the first, 4 or 5 minutes of the major headlines of the day. And if you can make your feature the most remembered part of the newscast, then you own the newscast.
Wow, what a career Emme had. As they say, when people recognize you by just your first name, you become an icon. I still have to use both my names. My name is Rick Kwan, and I had the honor of working with Emme for 7 years at KITV during the 1980s. By the way, I want to thank Lynn for letting me go first tonight because I'm actually working tonight. I have to turn a story about tonight's ceremony for our 10 o'clock news. So that's another reason we have to move along this program. Anyway, hope you'll be watching tonight. I'm not sure if it was because Emme thought I was Filipino, but we hit it right off. I'm actually Chinese, but I can pass. Mabuhay. Anyway, she was like my older sister, and we could talk about all the ups and downs of life. And we had some great times together, not just at the TV station, but away from the station. Back in the early 80s, Charlie's Angels came to shoot an episode in Honolulu, and Emme and I got to be extras at the airport. Our scene got cut out, but we got to meet Tanya Roberts, so. The fifth angel, I think. We also took working trips to Maui together. Back in the day, the Royal Lahaina Resort used to host these celebrity tennis tournaments. And so we got to meet people like Sonny Bono, Farrah Fawcett, and John McEnroe. Emme, as you can see, loved interviewing celebrities. And she was never afraid to ask the tough or unusual question. I remember one time she even told me she asked 450-pound sumo wrestler Jesse Puhalua about his sex life. And I said, Emme, what? But, she had that charm. She could ask somebody, and they wouldn't be offended. They'd just laugh about it and maybe even give her a pretty good answer, too. So she was really a one-of-a-kind person. When I moved back to the islands in 2020, we renewed our friendship. But, because of the pandemic, her health, and the passing of her husband, Jim, she didn't venture out that often from her home. But once in a while, she did go out with me. We got to go see Robert Cazimero perform over at Chai's and Journey at the Blaisdell, and we even got to go backstage and meet Arnel Pineda, the lead singer. And of course, everywhere we went, people would recognize Emme, and it made her so happy because she knew that she had made a difference with her life and that people had not forgotten how much she had given back to the community. Someone once said, don't just have dreams, make memories. And Emme did just that, and I'm happy I could share some of them with her. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Catherine Cruz, and Lynn Waters says I have a minute. And when you don't have much time, you focus on what's important, and Emme always made time. Her passing got a handful of KITV old-timers together this week. We talked, we laughed, we lamented, and we vowed to call each other and others to make sure that we could continue to meet, because it's important. A very long time ago, Emme and Jim attended my wedding on the Big Island. They made time. In recent years, even though she was busy with her many causes, the medical school, the brain injury group, she made time. And our last chat was about her coming on Hawaii Public Radio to be on the conversation We had her on as a guest before several times. One was talking about Hal Lewis being inducted in the Broadcast Hall of Fame, AKU. And she and Michael Perry laughed about the Easter parade. AKU concocted convincing hundreds of people that there really was a parade, and there wasn't. It was the April Fool's joke. But Emmy, when I talked to her, she was looking forward to attending the Day of Remembrance with Justice Sabrina McKenna to honor the Japanese community. In other conversations, she talked about how much she missed Willie Kay and how much she still missed Jim. We talked about the Marcos family, and we talked about the Lahaina fires and all the Filipinos who lost loved ones. But Emmy always had time until she didn't. So Emmy, thank you for making time for all of us in your life. Mahalo for bringing us all together tonight so that we can spend time with each other remembering you, because it's important. Thank you, Emmy.
Hi, I'm Nestor Garcia, and whenever you bring out a former politician and a newscaster together in front of a microphone, we might stay here all night. But I'm going to listen to what Lynn says, and I'm going to keep it very short. I'm representing KHON, and we're so glad that we were able to get Emmy to come back to us, because if you've been watching these videos, you'll know that she started her television career in the old Kona television station, which later became KHON. So after she had her time at KITV, she actually had her start with us at KHON. If my former boss was here on stage with me as well, and he's Jim McCoy sitting back there, Jim would also tell you a story about how Emmy first brought to our attention someone who became a mega star and is now has a show, I believe, in Las Vegas. So Emmy, as Jim tells the story, Emmy went up to Jim one day and said, "Hey, I want to do a story about this young kid, this child prodigy," the way she put it. His name is Peter Hernandez, and he does this great imitation of Elvis. So I want to do a story about him. And it took some time to convince Jim that this was going to be a legitimate news story. So he allowed her to do it, and lo and behold, Peter Hernandez became Bruno Mars. So it was Emmy that actually brought Bruno Mars to our attention in one of her stories. It's been said that Emmy is a storyteller, trailblazer, someone who inspired people like me to get into the business of, ouch. I thought with the Academy Awards you get to hear music. To tell you that your time was up. But I just want to say that the last time I saw Emmy was back in last November, when we were saying goodbye to a Filipino TV journalist by the name of Manolo Morales. So she was someone that actually inspired people like me and all the other young Filipinos and people of color, people of Asian descent, to take on this business of broadcasting. And we're all very proud of her, and we look up to her, and we will continue to do so. And we have her videos to remind us of how great a storyteller and journalist she really was. Thank you all for being here tonight.
With this much television experience under her belt, the next step was inevitable. In 1985, after a month as Channel 4's weekend anchor, Emmy was made co-anchor of the 10 o'clock news.
It was my groundbreaking moment for the 10 o'clock news with Tim Tyndall, and I was really excited, and yet I was nervous because, Tim Tyndall I was always in awe of him, and I was really scared that night, and I had my best outfit on, I had my makeup, and I was like ready to do this. And we were going through our scripts, on the desk in the newsroom, and he just said, you know, you might as well forget this, kiddo, because you're not going to make it. You're not going to do this. You're not going to be able to survive. And this is like 15 minutes before we're going to go to airtime. And I was so stunned and so shocked, I had to say, excuse me, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I almost just burst into tears. And I just told myself, all right, I'm going to show him. I'm going to work my butt off and show him I can do this because I need to. So I went out there, dabbed my makeup, and did the best I could. And I was with him for 2 years. And I finally, you know, I think one night he said, you know, kiddo, you're not bad. I think you can do this. And that meant everything. It meant everything to me.
By 1987, Emme Tomimbang had reached what was considered the pinnacle for Hawaii television journalists, but she wasn't happy.
Data thus far for 1984 shows almost 4,000 cases have been reported.
You know, I had been the anchor for about 2 years at Channel 4, and it was really a tough time. And I think coupled with a couple of things that were going on in my personal life, I just started to decide that, you know, I don't think I can cut being an anchor and a reporter at the same time. It was just so much work and so stressful that I decided I just needed, you know, time out. And the next thing I knew, I went into Channel 4 and said, I'm going to have to leave, you know. And I did. My last newscast was with Tim Tyndall as 10 o'clock co-anchors. And then I didn't have a job. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to go apply for other stations. But lo and behold, before I could even do that, I got a call from Kent Baker at Channel 2 who said, I want you to come into my office right now. And I was like, wow, this is the #1 station. I was at the #3 station for 12 years. And it was quite a milestone moment to have him call me.
Channel 2 News Director Kent Baker offered Emme the weekend anchor slot, but she turned down the hectic anchor's life to focus on two loves, feature reporting and the new man in her life.
My husband is Jim Burns. He's a state judge and the son of the late Governor John A. Burns. And while I was in between Channel 4 and Channel 2 News, we had wedding plans. And so Channel 2 was kind enough to tell me, go ahead, get married, take time off, but come back and start with us.
With newfound stability in her personal life and the resources of Hawaii's #1 news station supporting her, Emme was able to create a highly promotable television franchise.
Emme always had something that was what we call very promotable. I mean, you have this underlying awareness of who Emme Tomimbang is and what she brings to just about anything she does. And then you put her in all these different situations. For those of us who worked with Emme, there was an expression, a state of mind, a place that you went into during the course of working on a project with her, and we called it Emme Land. And it just meant that you just never knew where she was going to take you or where the direction of a story was going to go. Things just happened. Doors opened. People confessed their innermost secrets. That was being in Emme Land.
Besides being Hawaii's most popular feature reporter, Emme was the live reporter on Hawaii's first hour-long morning newscast, the Channel 2 Morning News.
I think Emme brought such a zest to that program. You never knew what she would say. She was so spontaneous. And, you know, if somebody can make you laugh at 3 in the morning on a regular basis, we all got together real early to prepare for the program. We laughed every single morning.
But the highlight of Emme's news career was no laughing matter. It was a story that spanned from the Philippines to Hawaii to New York.
Who would have thought, you know, that the former Philippine president would be deposed and living in exile in Hawaii? So within, you know, years of their stay here, I found myself not only covering them here, but going to New York to cover the indictment of Imelda Marcos and her husband, the president, former Philippine president.
Although she did seem to have an edge over other reporters covering the Marcos years, the assignment created a great deal of inner conflict for Emme.
I'm a local-born, you know, Filipina. I'm an American citizen, and I'm here suddenly in the throes of a story that made me question, you know, am I an American? Am I a Filipina? And I walked this fine line constantly between the two camps. And that was probably the most intense period of my entire news career. Long after this particular story is over, I'm going to have to live with myself, and I'm going to have to live in my community. And how do I do that? You know, and I always told myself that I needed to look beyond the moment of the 6 o'clock headline. No matter how tough it was to get that story and to beat the competition, I still had to live in this community and live with myself. And so I tried to be as fair and as honorable as I possibly could.
While she was covering the Marcos trial in New York for NBC, Emme was forced to make a major life decision.
And I remember one day Connie Chung and I were in her office, and she was trying to encourage me to come back after the trial and apply for a position at NBC News. And this is everybody's reporter's dream. I mean, I had an interesting offer, and there was Tom Brokaw saying, you know, you should come and work for us. But I remember looking out the window, and it was dark and dreary in New York, and I hadn't seen the sun for like 3 weeks. And I said to myself, as much as this national, you know, opportunity is wonderful and great, I need to see the sun. You know, and as stupid as it was, and as sort of minuscule of the moment it was, I just knew that in my heart I had to go back to Hawaii.
The videos and the speeches have been very entertaining, or so I've been told. And for the last couple of hours, I've been fretting and worried about Lynn pulling me off the stage, so I've been trying to cut my remarks. Emme's dedication to her work was evidenced in every project she touched, and I was so honored and privileged to have been a sponsor of many of them. She produced some really memorable work. Her series focused on the Philippines, reporting on the Pinatubo eruption. She researched and produced a story on the Hanapepe massacre, and her work extended far beyond the Filipino experience as well. She interviewed 9/11 survivors and also did a series of very wonderful Christmas shows. She had an amazing gift of storytelling and a remarkable ability to connect with people and get them to open up. She could talk to anyone, as you saw from a lot of the videos, athletes and entertainers and politicians. But what I found really interesting was that these athletes and entertainers would talk to her and stay in contact with her for many years to come after she interviewed them. What was typical Emme was her care and concern for many of those that she did interview with. She would often call and text me and bug me many times after she interviewed someone to tell me that she really cared about them and wanted to help them out in some way. A talented young musician by the name of Jake Shimabukuro came to mind, and once she dragged her husband Jim and I to have dinner with a fabulous, spectacular young golfer that she had interviewed, Tad Fujikawa. Watching her on set, I marveled at the way she would talk story with her guests and how she would put them all at ease. And this is perhaps what made Emme so special. She genuinely cared for everyone that she came in contact with. Now, she was really good at many things, and she was very versatile. In fact, once, and we saw her play the drums. Once, the fashionista that she once tried her hand at fashion design. In conjunction with Eulogy Sportswear, she launched a line of clothing, Island Moments by Emme, and even persuaded a bunch of us to walk down the runway in a fashion show at Liberty House. And this is one of our Aloha shirts, and as you can see, 20 years after the fact, it's still kind of stylish, kind of too big for me, but it's still pretty good. Now, I think we all realize she was recognized a lot in the Filipino community and beyond, but I've got to tell you one story. One year, we were both to be honored by Filipinas magazine, a national publication. She decided to defer her acceptance of the award until the following year, and instead, an actor by the name of Lou Diamond Phillips, you may remember him from Stand By Me and La Bamba, and he received awards for those performances, received the award in her category. And at that ceremony in San Francisco, he came up to me and asked me, hey, where's Emmy? And tell her I said hello. It showed to me how the reach of Emmy went far beyond Hawaii shores. When I came back, I remember asking her, hey, why did you defer the award? And she explained to me that she wanted to spread out the recognition of what Hawaii Filipinos had accomplished in Hawaii so that those on the mainland would always be aware of the progress that we have made. But that was Emmy, my ate, my manam, my older sister. We grew up together, we grew old together, and we celebrated our successes and provided comfort when we needed it. We shared the challenges of caregiving and grief on the passing of our dogs, her husband, and later my wife. She was the epitome of equanimity and grace, and left an indelible mark on those that had the privilege and delight of knowing her. This legacy will be remembered by all for years to come. I'm done.
Wow, that's some pressure, huh? Okay. Most of you know Emmy loved to eat. She loved food. She was always curious and she loved to have fun. If you don't know, she took a trip with us, a road trip at a guest chef event at a winery in Paso Robles. She went on a road trip with us to New York City for Roy's grand opening in his restaurant. But the one thing I want to talk about is she took 4 chefs, put us in a limo. We had to pick where our favorite restaurants were. Chuck came along, paired the wines with every course. And we all had fun. You saw the episode. But what she did, what was most important was she put the spotlight on all the mom and pop restaurants in our community. And so, Emma, you're listening, I want to say thank you from the chefs. We had a lot of fun. And thank you from the culinary community. You helped put the spotlight on a lot of things that are coming to fruit today.
Yeah, you know what? I echo that. Actually, I had a 5-minute speech written out, but unfortunately got torn when I walked through the door just now. But anyways, I'd like to thank Chief Justice for bringing that story up, because I thought Emmy was going to get mad at me, because that was an island Emmy's moment. Going down the freeway, she goes, I got to go pee. There's thousands of cars, thousands of headlights. And I said, good luck. So she goes, Roy, there's no bushes. So I says, well, you got to do what you got to do. And I just said, just make sure you look towards the bus so you have your back behind. That way, they won't see your face. Thank you.
Okay, so this is what I want to say. So the first show was Local Grind. She had the vision. And just so you understand what it meant, 4 local restaurants were chosen. And the intent was to give these small, local, family-owned restaurants a voice. With all this mainland stuff coming in, she had the vision to do this in a spectacular way by including the 4 of the best chefs in Hawaii. So that was step number 1. Step number 2, she gave light to 2 of the game-changing chefs of my lifetime and made it cool that we were just as good as what the mainland has. She made it cool, right? Then we did Local Grinds Part 2, and it included Sam Choi. So 3 local chefs. And it was we went to 3 different restaurants. Made it cool. Then, as Alan said, we went to Paso Robles. We took it on the road. Paso Robles wasn't happening then, but it's the happening wine place in California today. We were there. And then 4 was going to New York. Roy opened a restaurant in New York. We went there. We had the soup Nazi who was swearing at me, telling me to get in the back of the line. We ate Carnegie Deli like this. We went to Nobu's when it opened. Local grinds on the road. So it showed that these chefs were prominent enough to stand with the best in the world. Same like the winery. That was Emme. That was Emme. And we did a few other shows, but the last one I remember, everybody, it was the 12 Days of Christmas. There was 11 chefs plus me. There was 12 entertainers, and we were paired with each other. So I remember I was 7 chickens something with Pure Heart. I was with Pure Heart. But so she bonded people. We didn't know each other, and it bonded. So it became this local moment, and that's what she specialized in, capturing local moments and making it special. So to her, on behalf of all of us, much mahalo and God bless.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Katie, and this is Brenda, and we're here to represent Emme's Hawaii News Now family. And I had the unique privilege of meeting Emme just 6 years ago. It's when she came into Hawaii News Now to plan the celebration of the 50-year anniversary of Hawaii 5-0. Although I met Emme after the pinnacle of her fame, it was immediately apparent to me that when I walked into the conference room to meet her and discuss this, that I just laid my eyes on a superstar. In a relatively short span, she left an indelible mark on me, as I know she has done on the lives of so many in this room. In our meetings with her Shepherd, Montana, I learned that her magic was not merely in the public eye, but deeply embedded in the connection she cherished with her friends and family. Emme had a way of making everyone around her feel special, including me. Our next project was collaborating with so many to celebrate her dear friend, Willie Kay, to whom she honored with so much grace and aloha. In remembering Emme, we celebrate so much more than her public achievements. We celebrate a friend and a beacon of kindness. Thank you, Emme, for being a role model for me, a woman in the broadcast industry, for your beautiful spirit, and for your incomparable light.
Hi. My story is a little bit different. It was something that she shared with me in a conversation that we had. We were talking about when she was growing up and how when she was little, she wanted a mom because she was with her dad. Dad was doing, his radio thing. And she came across these two sisters who used to come on his show. They would perform. And she was in love with one of them and told her dad that she wanted her, this woman, to be her mom. Well, she kept, I'm like, okay, when did this happen? Who is this person? And she goes, well, her name is Catherine. And she sang with her sister, Irene. And immediately I'm like, what? I'm like, Emme, that's my mom. So we share that same connection. And my mom is here today. She flew in from the Big Island. And Emme, after that conversation, she met my mom and my dad here, hung out at her house in Kailua. And later when Dad passed, Mom came up here and, they had lunch and they kept in touch with each other. So that's our connection. And in news as well. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Robert Pennybacker, and I had the honor of working with Emme over the past 24 years as her on-again, off-again director and co-writer. I wanted to talk about a unique aspect of Emme, and that was, it's pretty incomparable, but her ability to make lifelong friends with the subjects of her stories. And, you know, journalists generally don't do this. They try to remain objective and separate from their stories. Or they do a story and then they leave and that's it. They never see them again. You know, but Emme was really different, and I think it was due to just the size of her heart, and that she didn't just tell stories, she lived them with the people. So I wanted to share a letter from someone who wanted to be here but could not. He was one of the main subjects of Emme's 9/11 special about the New York-Hawaii connection with 911. And it's a fire chief, Ralph Tiso, who Emme featured, who had lost 7 men in 9/11. So this is his letter. Dearest Emme, we met during the aftermath of September 11th. You decided to come to New York with many Hawaii friends on a humanitarian mission to bring the aloha spirit to New Yorkers. The teenage daughters of one of the firefighters that my firehouse lost was in contact with the singing group from Oahu called Disguise. Your plan was to bring everyone you brought from Hawaii, plus many of those living in New York, to the firehouse where I was the captain in charge, and I was the director on that shoot. It was amazing. You called me repeatedly to ask permission to bring everyone, but I told you that I was busy interviewing firefighters to replace the 7 in my firehouse that had perished in 9/11. You kept calling me until I relented and gave you the go-ahead to come with everyone. You brought them, including Disguise, their manager, your staff, your film crew, former Miss Hawaii. When the day of your visit came, a marvelous time was had by all. The footage of your visit to FDNY Rescue 3 was included in your 9/11 special. The film was featured in the Hawaii International Film Festival in 2002, and you flew my wife and me out to the festival. From that time, we became very close friends who came out to visit you, Jim, and your dog Rufus almost every year until the pandemic occurred. Emme, we miss you dearly and will never forget you and all the good times that we had together and the wonderful things you did for people. Rest in heavenly peace, dear beloved friend Emme, Captain Ralph, and Linda Tiso. Thank you.
You know, thank you to all the speakers and friends of Emme. 1 minute is surely not enough to share the stories, so after we get off air, you guys stick around and tell each other the stories, okay? You know, right now I'd like to introduce you an amazing woman. She has such a gift of love and song from her heart. And she is from an amazing family, and she is a young lady whom Emme nurtured and also promoted through her Emme's Island Moments. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the very amazing and outstanding talent, Christian Lay.
Aloha. This is one of Emme's very favorite songs. I dedicate it to you, Emme, and to Jim.
Must have been cold there in my shadow to never have sunlight on your face. You were content to let me shine, that's your way. You always walked a step behind. So I was the one with all the glory, while you were the one with all the strength. A beautiful face without a name for so long, a beautiful smile to hide the pain. Did you
I love you, Emmy. Thank you. Bless you all.
Do I have any friends left in the room tonight? Good evening, everyone. It is so nostalgic to see all of you here. I feel like I'm up in heaven, actually. I'm Lynn Waters, and I've been asked to deliver tonight. It's my privilege to deliver tonight's eulogy for our amazing, accomplished, and beloved friend, Emmeline Tomimbang Burns. There is and will always and forever be only one Emmy. Many may have known her longer and possibly better than I, but her executor somehow decided that I was less expensive to accommodate than Stevie Wonder, Bruno Mars, or Bette Midler. So here I am. So the year was 1981 when I came to work at KITV, and she was the reigning queen of local celebrity television. To say I was naive and FOB, which is fresh off the boat from Texas, would be a dramatic understatement. This whole scene was sort of overwhelming to me, and I wrote voluminous accounts of my adaptation to life in Hawaii to my parents back home. Remember, this was in the days before the internet, Facebook, even mobile phones. We wrote letters. What a concept. So they saved them. Dear Mom and Dad, 1981. I met this really nice coworker named Emmeline Tomimbang. She is the feature reporter, and she is Filipino, spelled Philipino. She is also a born-again Christian. Well, she was then. And she took me to her church, where everybody hugs everybody a lot. It met in the mortuary. After church, she took me to a Farington High School reunion beer bus, where we drank a lot of beer, danced with strange men, and she made me eat something they call blood. Local people have very unusual customs here. Love, Lynn. Dear Mom, I've had an incredible opportunity to be the first news crew on the uninhabited island of Kaho'olawe after it was placed on the National Register. The Navy has these escorts called EODs. They watch out for unexploded ordnance that might blow us to bits if we step on it. No running water, no structures, camp out in a tent, keep on the dry ground, try to keep the gear clean. Emme, on the other hand, is flying first class with the Aloha Week Court to London, England. Let me think here for a minute. Hot, sandy, mosquito-bitten, bathe in salt water with dish soap and sleep on the ground versus staying in a 5-star hotel near Windsor Palace and having an audience with the Archbishop of Canterbury. What is wrong with this picture? So back to Emme, the reporter. She was extremely self-aware. She knew her weaknesses unapologetically and would often ask me or Tim Tyndall or Terry Hunter to proofread her scripts. And we did catch a few mistakes here and there, but sometimes they snuck by us. Such as the time she aired her story about the car accident victim who was rushed to the hospital where he underwent immediate observation. Or there was the workers' comp accident where paramedics determined his arm need not be saved. Like, he's got another one. And my personal favorite, his burdens hung like an albacore around his neck. Can't you picture this giant tuna fish hanging around this man's neck? I swear, these are real things, and they went on the air. But Emme was also the first to laugh at herself when they landed wrong. Emme had a childlike quality to her, one of wonder. When she would get excited when local people did something newsworthy, when anniversaries rolled around that she thought should be marked because of what they said about the people who made them possible, or to showcase rising talent or Hawaii's unique culture. She unerringly saw what others didn't, a story. And her Emmy's Island Moments specials were the ultimate expression of her storytelling capabilities. Jim and Emme together were a perfect match. He gave her status and security, marrying into the family of the late governor, a respected attorney and jurist who is still himself known as the father of family court law in Hawaii. And she brought joy, music, celebrities, laughter, and love in his life. She loosened him up, taught him how to smile, and they learned how to have fun and appreciate the glories and the absurdities that life throws our way. So let me briefly tell you when they married at the beautiful Burns family home in Waimea, and this was about 86, 87, I think. Eddie Kamai and the Sons of Hawaii were playing on the porch. Stuart Ho was the best man. Well, someone had sent a bottle of champagne back earlier, and we bridesmaids and the bride were having a good old time in the back. So Jim dispatched Keith Kaneshiro to pry us out. He returned and hissed to Jim, "They're in their underwear and drinking champagne and they won't come out." And Jim hissed, "You're an attorney. Go make them get dressed and come out." And he did, and we did, and the rest is history. We all know her accomplishments. She, Leslie Wilcox, and Howard launched the morning news program at Channel 2, the first in the market. And for years, Jim would rise with her in the wee hours, drive her into town for the 3 a.m. production meeting, and then proceed to the JARC Judiciary Building while she was on air from 7 to 9. That is love. Each and every one of you in this room tonight was chosen to be here because of what she did with, for, in service, and about every one of you. So I hope everybody has their Prosecco toast. Can we stand, please? And actually, I don't have mine, so let me go grab it. Everybody have a toast? I think we're still working a few tables, but please rise and celebrate to Emme. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I dare not tell Lynn 1 minute. So, in the interest of Emme's Filipino culture, we say, Mabuhay! 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 Thank you very much. You know, our last visit was Emme focuses on the generosity of her spirit and the true awareness of her place in the world. She was so grateful for the joy, the love, and the stability that came through her marriage. Emme and her husband, the Honorable Chief Judge of the Court of Appeals of the State of Hawaii, the late James Sheshiro Burns, developed their philosophies in life together, and the focus on the future of helping the youngsters and the young generation succeed. 2 of them established an endowed scholarship and programs to educate more nurses, more journalists, future civic leaders, and even doctors for rural areas in our islands, and better medical education for training, outreach, and support. The instructions she gave were very specific and generous beyond words. This is their lasting gift to us. Watch the video.
By 1993, Emme Tomimbang was at the top of her game as a reporter on Hawaii's #1 news channel, as well as a star player on Hawaii's most watched morning newscast. But a great personal loss caused her to question what she was doing with her life.
I had sort of, I guess, a defining moment in my life, and that was the death of my dad, who, died in August of 1993. And it was so clear to me that now I'm ready to move to another part of my life. And so I remember Kent Baker saying, I know your father died, you need some time off, take all the time you want, come back, and we'll be waiting. And I wanted to do that. But again, in my heart, it was like the next level was in front of me, and that was to go on my own, have my own show, and get into my independent life.
A producer at KHON shared the same dream with Emme.
As I got to know Emme, working at Channel 2, she always came from a place of the heart in telling her news stories. And it kind of stirred the same kind of feelings for me. I didn't want to just do 30-second promos or commercials. I wanted to tell stories that affected people, that touched their lives. And when Emme, we came up with this idea that could we do this on our own? I said, yeah, I want to do this. Let's go and do this, and we did.
Their dream took the form of an independent production company, Emme Inc., whose core product was to be a new primetime magazine show called Emme's Island Moments.
We left Channel 2 with an incredible dream to put a show together. 2 local girls, and just this heartfelt dream to put a local program together. But people thought we were absolutely crazy.
I think for Lori and myself, ignorance was bliss. And the crash course was learning how to be business entrepreneurs. And I can't even balance my checkbook till today. It was very difficult. I wasn't used to suddenly calling on clients and saying, would you like to buy my show, and here's the rates, and it was a whole new, ball game, and I didn't frankly like it because I never had to go around and ask for money, but I got used to it because I realized if this is my dream to do what I wanted to do, this was all part of it. But as confident as I was also afraid that no one was going to watch, and no one was going to care, and that they'd say, she failed, and I would have to crawl back, to a newsroom that would take me.
Words of wisdom from actor Jason Scott Lee, who was to appear on the premiere of Island Moments, helped Emme overcome her fears.
The fact that she was thinking about moving into her new show, and it was very scary, and it was very, she didn't know whether she would feel like she was leaving the studios behind or something. And I said, well, in order to start a new path or walk the new path, you have to trade in your old shoes for a new pair. And she says, I like that. and I think from what she said, it engaged her and helped her to step forward and be courageous and be strong about her new adventure of being an independent.
Navigator Nainoa Thompson was also a guiding force.
I was at the time working with Nainoa on Hawaii Loa and the launching of this new canoe. And in a very, very significant way, it was like a metaphor, because I would look at Nainoa and be on this canoe and be out in the ocean going to sea trials, and then he would always say, you have to launch your own canoe. And I think the metaphor was looking at the team and watching them, rowing and how they had this all in unison, and he had a mission, and he said, a ship is never safe in harbor, so you got to find the vision and go for it.
Emme's unique flair for humor and local flavor have been the mainstays of Island Moments. But the show has also tackled some very tough stories of courage in the face of tragedy.
The Nakatani story was just one of those, heart-wrenching, you do these stories and all of a sudden you stop and you go, oh my gosh, can I do this? And this is a story about a Japanese couple from Hilo who lived on the mainland. They had 3 very handsome sons. 2 died of AIDS and 1 was murdered. How am I going to do this story? How can this be an island moment? Well, the island moment was the fact that they moved back to Hawaii and brought their sons and reburied them on the island of Maui.
You think there's a spiritual thing about being here. None of my kids were born in the islands. They were not locals or Kamainas, but I always felt in my heart that they were. If we're going to be in soil, we were going to be in Hawaiian soil.
I was fortunate to work with Emme on a show called Hawaii to New York, The Aloha Spirit Lives. And it was a show about September 11th and how Hawaii people were affected by the tragedy and how they helped people in New York heal. It was a very moving experience and also amazing in how so many of the stories connected with one another. It started with a family, 2 daughters of a deceased fireman, who wanted to do a tribute dance for their father at a dance concert.
But Emme does not just produce shows. She also provides a unique training ground in television and in life.
One of the things that I learned from her was to be passionate about what you do and to take that leap of faith in what you believe in. And so that's what I take to heart and try to do each day.
Whenever I had my heart in the right place and wanted to get something done or be somewhere, doors opened up. And Emme has taught me that it's got to be from the heart. It's got to be from the spirit. Got to be from the inside, the passion. And when it comes from that place, it works.
Good day. I am sending this message to all of Emmy's friends with a broken heart right now. It has been very difficult for me to accept her passing. And I think of the many island moments that she and I have shared, and I cannot help but iiyak ako. But then I know that wherever she is, God is taking care of her. And finally, she will have a rendezvous with her husband, Jim. I know that when Jim passed away, Emmy was no longer the same. But I pray with all my heart that the day will come that she and I and Jim will have a wonderful reunion. You know, Emmy is an icon in the island. She is the woman who could walk with kings but cannot lose the human touch. I can say that with full conviction because when she went to England to cover the wedding of Princess Diana, she was able to share by interviewing some of the royalty. But let me tell you, coming back here, that girl never ever forgot where she came from. Scrounging for playthings at the pile of garbage in Kakaako, being sensitive to the needs, especially of the elderly. I remember the time she helped this elderly World War II veteran who was working at a plantation in Waipahu and had come to the office one day, and he was then out filming, but I talked to him and we got his telephone number. When Emmy came home, she said, please call him Mary. And we talked to the guy. He came, had lunch with her, and Emmy found out that all the guy needed was a job in the city, at least a better paying job, so he could support his family back in the Philippines. So without skipping a beat, she talked to the management of Ala Moana Hotel. And pronto, the guy got a job as a janitor. There are so many experiences in her life that if I could just talk on and on, it will take forever. But suffice to say that wherever you are, my darling, nobody will ever forget you because of what you have meant to every single soul in these beautiful islands. You have always been a caring, sensitive, compassionate, generous person. And we will always remember you that way. For the joy you have given to this island, for the love you have shared to all the residents here, for capturing the essence of this place and the events and the life of the people who live here. I would say, mahalo, Emmy, we love you. And I would say, take care on your next journey. Aloha.
Mary Rivera, by the way, is a very dear friend of Emmy, who lives in the Philippines now doing some missionary work. She was, by the way, the star of the Spider-Man. You know the Spider-Man movie, No Way Home? Well, she was the mother of Spider-Man's sidekick, Ned. Grandma. Oh, okay, she looked young in there. Grandma. Mary Rivera will thank me for that. I'd like to right now welcome Dr. Lee Buenconsejo Lam, who is the interim dean of the John A. Burns School of Medicine and a very dear personal friend of Emmy.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you so much for the honor of celebrating Emmy's life with all of you, and including those outside. I'm honored to have been one of Emmy's projects. I don't know maybe what to say, but no. Emmy is has been such a wonderful friend, not just to me, but really to the John A. Burns School of Medicine, as you've heard before. But she has really helped make sure that all of our medical students understand who Governor Burns was, who Jim was, what is the legacy, and what their future holds, and really also our high expectations for our students. When I think of Emme, I think of the words champion, heart, the champion for the underserved. Of course, she went to public school as well, but she's also very thoughtful, giving, and it's true she nurtured not just our medical students, but also our different members of our communications teams over the years, and really just a friend. So our former dean, Jairus Hedges, shared yesterday at her funeral services, and she, like she did with Lynn, actually took this guy who is not from Hawaii and really helped introduce him to who we are, who our people are, the very special place, and why it's really critical for him as the dean to make sure that all of us working in medicine really meet the mission, the many missions of JABSOM. And so I got to know Emme through her, and over the last year and a half or so, have had the privilege of having lunch with her, also having Montana at my feet, but back everywhere. We just, Montana was always with us when we would have a chance to chat. And so just in short, I wanted to, on behalf of the John A. Burns School of Medicine, just let you all know how special she was to all of us and to really guiding the next generation. Our mission is to help Hawaii attain lasting optimal health for all, or aloha. And Emme certainly embodied that and shares that. And she will continue sharing that with all of our first-year medical students during every orientation, because during COVID, she was able to make a video that spoke about the legacy and the life of the Burns family. And so to help share in Emme's next generation legacy, we have one of our medical students here, Angela Phillips.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Angela Phillips, and I'm a first-year medical student at the John A. Burns School of Medicine, a school that has really flourished under the stewardship of Emme, and whose life we're here to celebrate tonight. So, as you know, Emme was a pioneer, one of the first Filipina in media, really. But what is lesser known is that once she stepped out of the limelight, she tirelessly and humbly worked to improve the representation and the diversity and accessibility for Filipinos in medicine, like myself. I am the first in my family to attend medical school, with both my parents coming from lower socioeconomic background, both in Australia and the Philippines. So I, along with my classmate Agnes, who is also here tonight, are two students fortunate to receive the Tomimbang Burns Endowment. And it is an endowment centered upon giving students like myself and Agnes a chance to make a difference in the health of underserved communities like the Filipino community of Hawaii. So with her generosity, I, along with many physicians in the future, will be able to stay and practice in Hawaii and honor our kuleana and also serve the community that has already given us so much. And without people like Emme, first-generation aspiring Filipino physicians like myself would not have the opportunity to follow our calling like she did herself. Words can't begin to describe how much this has meant to me and Agnes as well, and the gratitude that we have towards the Tomimbang Burns family. So what I've learned along the way is that life can be unpredictable, but I know one thing with certainty. If each physician practices, even with an ounce of compassion and thoughtfulness like Emme embodied throughout her life, then Hawaii would be a happier and healthier place. So Emme, your work is done. The impact that you've had on Hawaii and the Filipino community will never be forgotten. Agnes, myself, and the future physicians that will benefit from this endowment will take it from here. Thank you.
I share this moment, time and place, with the women here and the many other women who would have wanted to be here. It should be easier for women to deal with the loss of a good friend, but it hasn't been easy because Emme cared for everyone but herself. She easily formed strong bonds with women of all ethnic groups. Women were drawn to her. She had a depth of warmth and knowledge about life that everyone, all of us, wanted to be with her. She was intimate in many ways and private in other ways. Over the years, she shared with us, all of us, her joys and sorrows, her deep love for Jim, and her enthusiasm for all her ideas and projects that benefited our community. When she passed, she left a big void in our lives. So much so that many of us had to come together to share the pain and our feelings of loss. It was unbearable as each of us recalled the wonderful times we spent with her. To all of us, she brought joy into our lives. There will never be, we all agree, there will never be another Emme. There will always be a big void in our lives. We will miss her voice and her laughter. She was more than a friend. She was family.
Stay right there. Okay. One more thing. Thank you, Attorney Abby Shaw. Can I call Kimo up here, please? Kimo, you know, you have been such a great audience, and we appreciate your time being with us. Right now, we want to say some final words. My co-MC over here from Kalihi.
From Kalihi and Waimanalo.
Okay.
And Halava Housing. And a few other places. But what's most important is we must take the time to thank each and every one of you. This is not the end. For Emme's spirit, heart, and light, and love for Jim, it's a beginning. It's a wonderful way to pass on to the next generation and the generation after that, the aloha that has been shared here. And with that, there is one song that helps us all to share.
Elias. Before we do that, I have to call, of course, the executor of her estate, her nephew, Elias Beniga.
Good evening, everyone. I'm on familiar grounds here, so I do not have Emme's charisma and personality, so I'm just going to get right down to it, right? Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded." These words epitomize Emme's life and relationships with each and every one of you here and everywhere that she had touched individuals, right? Thank you all for the affection and love you shared with Emme. And on behalf of the Tomimbang family, Brendan Burns, Carrie Kumiao, and Jocelyn Nelson, our deepest gratitude to the bountiful hands coming together to make this celebration possible, right? Thank you to all for being here and to the many who traveled so far to be here, and to everyone who are watching to celebrate Emmy's life. A life well lived. Maraming salamat po. Aloha, and God bless everyone. Be safe.
And just one more moment for my son who's in North Carolina. Because of Emme and Jim and the scholarship, the John A. Burns School of Medicine, Haku Kevin Kaho'ano is Dr. Haku Kevin Kaho'ano.
everybody stand?
Kuhome kulai vine Olino awina ponolani ho Hawaii aloha sing it out now. He haoli na o pio Hawaii ne Oli 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 maina he a he makani e pa maine mau ke aloha no Hawaii. One more time. E haoli na o pio Hawaii ne Oli oli maina he a he makani e pa maine mau ke aloha no Hawaii mau ke aloha no Hawaii. Aloha, aloha no, aloha kako. Eo, Hawaii.
Good night, everybody, and this is for Emme. Mabuhay! Good night, drive safely, and aloha and mahalo. When you go out, please get a copy of Emme's tribute that the Philam Courier, Hawaii's leading Filipino publication, has produced for tonight. As you exit the ballroom, please get a copy of the Philam Courier. Mary Cordero is the publisher, and we say, Maraming salamat po, Diyos Ignina, and aloha. Thank you.